living, and I'm currently on a horse riding holiday in Portugal. And so I was thinking about making a vlog because I am currently here for a full week and I have the perfect opportunity to basically do whatever I want with all of my free time, because other than having 2 lessons on horses per day, I have nothing else I need to do. No chores, no work, no school, no anything. And that brings me the perfect opportunity to kind of treat this as a writing retreat, even though it's more of a horse riding retreat, and get some work done. The problem is I have no idea what type of work, because I did not bring my laptop with all of my writing on it. I maybe should have, but I thought that wouldn't be necessary. I do have my iPad with me, so I can actually write if I wanted to, just I don't have access to any of my previous writing, and so I cannot reference anything. Or I have the last bit of world building that still needs finished, that is on the main country, and the magic system and those things that basically connect the puzzle and make it a whole. Or previously I was thinking about having basically this lesson style thing where I try to learn how to write better by first annotating some books and reading a craft book, or like learning from videos. And this one has been giving me issues. I have started annotating this book, but got only like 120 pages into it with the actual annotations before I got to consume and basically read the rest of the book. And I have finished that one yesterday on the plane, and so there is 100 pages of annotations and 200 pages of no annotations, so that's not helpful. The other thing I have here with me is this, which is the printed copy of the first draft of my own book. And so I could theoretically start 2 weeks early on reading it and annotating that for revisions. So that's an option. I have already rewritten chapter 1 last week as a little bit of an experiment, but I have not touched the rest of the book at all. So that could be a possibility. Or I have my sticky notes with me and plenty of access to free walls, so I could either re-outline this book, or re-outline book 2, or look at one of the previous projects, but I think working on one of the previous projects just for this week is not that good of an idea. Either way, I have about 30 minutes before I need to go to the stable for my first lesson, and so I want to use that time to get my 30 minutes of work done, basically anything. I will see what I end up doing, but yeah, follow along. Okay, evening update. This is quite a strange lighting, but I don't believe this room has a better one, so we'll have to deal with it. So it's now, 9 p.m. And so what have I actually done today? Quite a lot. A lot. So as I said, I got 30-minute work session in the morning and worked on the world building and handwriting that a little bit. So that has a progress. And then I went to the first horse riding lesson, which was absolutely great. Even though I am not used to riding different horses than mine, and so that was a little bit challenging. But considering I haven't been doing any active writing in 10 months and haven't had proper lessons in like 3 to 4 years, I think it went rather well, and was quite, how to say, I learned some new things that I have not done before, on a type of horse I have not ridden before, so that's definitely a good experience. And so then I returned here and had a little swim at the pool, and then rushed to lunch, which was a 4-course meal, and yet I managed to be hungry like 2 hours after that. Either way, it was big enough in the moment that I kind of was like, how do I get on the horse in 30-ish minutes? How will that work? But thankfully I was okay, and so I got seated on a different horse and went on a trail ride. Went through the river and the hills around, and it was absolutely great. This countryside is so beautiful. And so when I returned, I got another swim at the pool and then spent the next hour sitting at the pool and reading one of my books. Not my book, but one of those that I have brought. And so then I went on an evening walk after the dinner and discovered that there are goats nearby, which was quite a nice surprise to see. They rushed over, trying to be petted and like see if I have something to feed them. So very cute, very cuddly. And so now that I am back, I am thinking about spending the next hour trying to dive into my book and annotating that for revisions. We'll see how that goes, because I have to wake up very early tomorrow. I have an early lesson, and so I should be heading to bed early, but I'm not very good at going to bed early. So that concludes the update for today. And more on the topic of feelings, this is my very first trip fully alone, and it's so great to have like time to myself and being in charge of my own time while having absolutely no obligations, and so I can do whatever I want. And that's new. That's very, very new. And absolutely great. It's like so easy to get lost in the track of time. Like absolutely, I look at the time and I'm like, how much time has passed already? How? Like this whole day came through in a flash. I have no idea how, but it did. And so that's really good, because I am the type of person who kind of struggles to live in the moment, and I keep getting caught up on like how much time has passed, like it feels like it's dragging a lot of time. And so having the reverse and just enjoying not just the moment but like letting the time flow is something I always appreciate when I actually get to do that. And so that should conclude the chat for today. And as I said, I have a book to annotate. The first scene is now annotated. As you can see, I am using 3 highlighters plus a pen. So all the purple highlights are things that are just not good and need full rewriting. The orange things are what needs like better explanation, elaboration, or just continue this thought more in depth. And then green are some lines I actually like and think are hitting the point. And then in between there are my notes on the topic. My biggest issue is that the tone is just, again, so melodramatic. Like, come on, you're an adult woman, stop acting like a teenager. And also, at no point in this scene is her name mentioned, ever. Plus this is just, yes, it's supposed to be confusing, but it's confusing in a bad way. So that concludes the first scene. This took longer than expected. And now diving on to the rest of the chapter. It is now the afternoon of the second day. And as I said, yesterday I managed to crack open my own book and started making notes there. I got about 2 scenes in before I got too tired. And so then I had to go to bed. And this morning I actually woke up quite early, to the point I was the first person at the breakfast, which is a new feeling entirely. Then followed the second dressage lesson, and I feel like I am getting better at sitting on that horse, but also at this point I'm so sore that I cannot even walk, and I have no idea how I will survive another lesson this afternoon. But I have used the reminder of the late morning up to now lunchtime to take the book to the pool and continue with my marking journey. And it is rather strange to be reading it now, because there are some issues that I have pointed out by others in the first 2 chapters, and so most of today was just poking through chapter 2. But now I have also done chapter 3, which nobody has read yet, and it was just the same exact issues. Mostly I am struggling with the tone and emotions of the characters, because they are jumping all around the place in a way that's not fully, doesn't make sense, especially for Peter, because he's supposed to be scared and confused, and instead he's diving into being rather cynical, sarcastic, and then openly angry and hostile. And child, start thinking. This is too dangerous of a situation to be aggressive toward the people around you. And so, yeah, the other big issue is the lack of description and just scene setting or even thought process for the characters. And so those are the main 2 things I will have to work on when I get to the rewrite. And so I will see how the rest of the book goes, because, as I said, I just touched chapter 4, and it has already been working on it for a full hour, and I've just read 20 pages. So the progress is rather slow. So right now I am going for lunch, which I'm happy about because I am absolutely dying of hunger, and then after I might do another chapter before I need to run for my afternoon lesson. That is the plan for now. Hello, welcome to my little desk situation. So I have spent the evening working on annotating the book. Got to about 50 pages in, chapter 6. And I have quite a lot of things to say about it, as you can see. And so my current plan is I'm thinking about getting Act 1 read through during this trip, vacation, whatever. It's not that difficult because Act 1 is until chapter 12 and page 126. And since I'm already on page 50, that should be somewhat okay to do in the span of the next 3 days. So yeah, that is the update for this evening, and I'm thinking now about picking up my actual reading material and going to bed with Alright, it has been 2 days. I wish I had more of an update on this book, but yesterday I got too consumed by this one, as you can see here, and so I have 100 pages left and I cannot stop reading, so I have completely ignored this one for the entirety of yesterday, and now I cannot decide if I want to just finish this one to have it over with, or if I want to take this one to the pool and start working on it more. I have held to my promise of actually not touching my reading and working on this one instead. And so this is what I have started in the morning, and this is how far I have come. So that's like 2 chapters only, but one of them was quite long, and I have finally, as you can see by the notes, found stuff that I don't actually like fully, and some of it needs to be cut. My biggest issue right now is like the characterization, I would say, not just of the main characters, but like everybody else, because whoever is not seen as good is like cartoonishly bad, and it's just it seems like a power move for the main character, but then it's just like punching down. It's just no, it makes me dislike them both. And that's not what I have intended. So like half those interactions have to be rewritten to be more respectful to the not enemy but the person on the other side. The pace I am going at is rather slow, but should be enough to finish Act 1 during this trip, of which I only have tomorrow an actual day, and the day after I am having a 12-hour travel home, and so probably I will just read my actual books and not work on this one, but still, I think I can finish Act 1, and I can already see some issues with it, like I have said, with the characterization, the lack of description. But also I have seen quite a lot of things that I like or that have worked for me, but then again, I have written this, so it's written with my sense of humor and what I like in mind. So of course it is working for me, but also there is this sense I have that yes, it's not perfect and there is a lot of mistakes, but I can see the potential of what it could be. Like if you look at the chapters themselves and my notes, they are like very harsh, but that's because it's my writing, so I can. But in general, I can see that I can like do better. I can make it better. So that is a nice feeling to have. It's not full desperate mode of, oh no, this is horrible, how am I going to fix this? This is not the case. Yes, fixing this will be difficult because it's a long and complex book, but it's not unworkable. So there is that. This is the last day of the trip, and so how is this progressing? Well, I have reached page 100 and something, and so I only have 3 chapters left of Act 1, and so I think it is very much doable to get this done today before I have to leave tomorrow. And so I am quite surprised at the great pace I am progressing at. Yes, it is a bit difficult to be reading it and making notes, and it's taking longer than like a normal book, but I think I can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. Also the rest of it, not just Act 1. And so those are my thoughts. Now I need to go for my morning ride, and I can continue on it when I return back and sit down by the pool. is the last evening and I'm like halfway packed, and so to finish packing I need to first read the last chapter remaining of Act 1, write down all my notes in here, and then finish the last 100 pages of this book, and so that way all these free things can go into the luggage, and I can only take this one with me into the plane and don't have to drag 3 books I'm working on with me. Does that make sense? I hope so. So that's what I am doing with the next 3 hours. This is the last day, and I am now fully packed and waiting for the person who will drive me to the train station. So let's use the time to make the final update, the final recap. So, what have I done in this week in regards of my book? So I have finished reading Act 1 completely and then summarized all the notes on that. And it went better than I expected. Like I expected to struggle making the notes a little bit more and like spotting the issues. I don't think I have spotted everything, but I think I have done a relatively good job on that. And I have plenty of things to like work on. But overall, I am not unhappy with the draft. I think that most of the things that I have introduced are good and interesting. It's just that the execution is lacking a little bit. The biggest issue currently I see with Act 1 is that it is way too short compared to the other 2 acts, and I'm not sure if I like where it ends, but for that this issue to have like a solution, I need to actually read the whole book and see it as a whole to see if I can like move where the acts fall. I don't think adding scenes in here would be that much helpful, just fleshing out what is there so it doesn't feel so rushed. The other big issue I have is characterization of the 2 main characters. The issue with Peter is that he says he is deadly scared of everything and everyone, and then he is way too comfortable getting confrontational and choosing from the fight or flight, choosing the fight when he should not by any means. It doesn't fit his character, doesn't fit his backstory, it doesn't fit anything. Why is he so biting, I would say, so rude? Like he should be much more careful and concerned and trying to be extremely polite and not this sarcastic, cynical, rebellious teen, because that's not his personality. And also he switches back and forth between being angry and terrified and being like, okay, this is what is happening, I am accepting it. And like going back and forth, like one moment he's like, oh no, this is terrible, then he's like, okay, I cannot do anything about it, let's just accept it, and the next scene he's again fighting against it. So that's not good. As for Aurora, again, issues with characterization, but a little bit different. She flip-flops between being extremely vulnerable and weak and trying to be powerful in a way that is not very. She's the queen, she should be very in control of herself and know what she's doing, but it looks like she's flaring up against people to show her power in brute force, and it doesn't come across as powerful, it comes across as cringe. So that needs to be worked on. And the other things are just fixing descriptions, adding more of them and fleshing out some ideas, and of course adding a little bit more of internality. But other than that, I think Act 1 is going somewhat well. We shall see about how the rest of the book is. But like, this is the oldest part. This is the part I have written 3 years ago, and I can even remember at what points I was writing where. And so this should be the worst quality of the writing, and the other acts should improve as they come more to the present, I would say.
As you can see, I am now back home from the trip, and it was absolutely fantastic. Both the horse aspects of it and the writing retreat aspects of it. I think I got a lot of stuff done. I got a lot of new experience in stuff I didn't expect. And so now it's time to return back to real life. And it looks like the extremely hot Portugal weather has traveled all the way to Slovakia with me, so we are having the last very hot weekend before the actual autumn weather starts. And so next week starts also my school. But other than that, I hope you have enjoyed the last summery week with me and nice and warm weather. I have certainly enjoyed it a lot, and so I will leave you with a question. Where would you go if you could go anywhere on a writing retreat? And so that is the end of this video, and I hope you like and subscribe if you have enjoyed this.